Hi, everybody. Just give us a couple minutes for everybody to get online, but thank you for attending, and we'll get going here momentarily, about 2 minutes out. Thank you. All right, let's get it started. So thank you everybody for attending today. Effortless security, automation for vulnerability remediation, that's what we're going to be talking about. This has been kind of the hot subject for us lately, which is taking our completely unique vulnerability remediation capabilities and doing further automation. So we have some exciting things coming out to further enhance our offering, and we're going to be talking about that today. So today's agenda, we'll do intros, high-level overview of what Bacon is. We'll talk about these new enhancements that are forthcoming, and then we may talk about a little bit of roadmap and then close out. But it's going to go kind of quickly because we're doing these in 30 minutes now so that we can stay focused on one specific subject. So let's get it going. Dave, if you want to put up there we go. That slide is exactly what I was looking for. So quick intros here. I'm Joe Marcato, co-founder and CTO of Bacon. And I've been in IT a real long time as a sysadmin, trying to make things run smoothly. Things have changed a lot of security stuff that we didn't care about in, say, the year 2000, we sure care about today. And Dave knows what I'm talking about, and that's why he's joining me today to do the demos. Dave Adekoya is one of our senior engineers and also the best demo guy I know. So thanks for joining me, Dave.
As always, happy to be here.
Fantastic. We'll do a little quick housekeeping because we do like to give away prizes, and we do like to make sure that everybody gets to participate in the webinar. So please do ask questions. We'll answer those to the best of our ability, usually during, occasionally after. And there's a couple of polls will pop up on your screen. The quicker you click through those, the faster they'll pop up. So we'll do those real quick at the beginning. And then please do fill out the survey at the end, because if you fill it out and put in your information, you can get a completely awesome Hero 12 Black GoPro. So we will be giving away a GoPro today. We've given away a whole bunch of prizes in the past, Oculuses and all kinds of other things, but people love these kinds of gizmos. I know I do, so we can't wait to give you one. And in addition to all of those things, we do have a Bacon Bits page, so you can go and learn about Bacon in little tidbits. And so if you just go to YouTube and search Bacon Unlimited, you'll find the channel. There's 110 or 20 things on there, and we're adding new ones all the time. So a good way to learn about it, good way to train yourself on certain features. It's pretty handy. All right, so with that, let's do some polls. Lane, if you wouldn't mind, let's do poll number 1. What are your biggest pain points with your current vulnerability remediation tools? Complexity, incomplete solution, time consuming, missing cross-platform fixes. You can choose any or all of those or none. And let's see, how is this coming out? Oh, pretty even. Nobody cares about the missing
complexity.
platform today. Time consuming seems to be taking the lead in the race. I like to think of it like a little race.
Not bad.
Complexity's picking up. All right, and as we can see, time consuming was the worst part, complexity second, and then incomplete solution. Not so many people care about cross-platform on this one, so that's interesting. Lane, let's fire up the second poll. What are the biggest impediments to updating endpoints in your environment? Ooh, this is another multi-choice here. So employee compliance, lack of endpoint visibility, lack of endpoint control, not enough time and resources, and company policies. Let's see how the voting comes in. Time and resources always seems to be big on this one. Compliance with employees, oh yeah. Which is why we added our user service to Bacon. So that's a new thing, and gives a notification to end users that they have to do things by a certain deadline, but it gives them the opportunity to defer things or schedule things to happen when it will be most convenient for them. So you need to do patches with reboots, you can do all that, pretty handy. And let's see, yeah, employee compliance and not enough time and resources go hand in hand, but all of these things seem to come into effect. So we're going to talk a little bit about those things today, and I think we're ready to move on here. All right, so we're going to do an overview just to make sure that everybody knows what Bacon is and what it does. Bacon is a complete endpoint management and vulnerability management solution. I don't like the term vulnerability management because most people, when they're talking about that, all they're really doing is telling you about vulnerabilities, and then you have to go sort of take the fix information and build your own scripts and all those kinds of things. Bacon does a lot of that stuff for you. It aligns all the patches that you need on certain machines. That's for third-party software as well as OS patches, and the fixes are there for you. Now, one thing you can also do is integrate it with Tenable, which will give you a higher level of visibility into vulnerabilities. That's why Tenable is a big public company, because they are the #1 tool for doing that. But for anybody who uses it knows it doesn't fix anything. So we'll give you about 93 to 95% of all of the information without Tenable, but that extra 7 to 5%, 5 to 7% is very, very valuable. I highly recommend using it. So what do we do? Well, we patch. We do third-party software patching. We do configuration changes at a deeper and richer level than any tool that's out there. And that, which we've had for a long time, allowed us to be the best at remediating vulnerabilities in the biz today. So what we did was we made it so that you can see those vulnerabilities and see how they equate to the solutions, enact those solutions, which is really the big part, and then report on those solutions. So that's sort of the exciting part with the vulnerability management. But we do have some exciting new capabilities for further automation, which Dave's going to talk about today. And so all of these pieces come together. Now, there are a couple other elements of Bacon, which is that we do have a full remote control built in, because sometimes things don't go the way you plan when you patch 1,000 machines, and a couple of machines need some direct one-on-one attention. So we have that capability as well. We also have visibility and built-in monitoring. You can't see what you're doing and have that visible and get real-time or very near real-time information. It's very hard to make decisive action against your endpoints. And so Bacon is a near real-time, like within 15 seconds, you should have accurate data on every single machine. And then you can take action against your machines, like, oh, I need to patch, or oh, I need to upgrade Chrome, or oh, I need to roll out this change that, you know, turns off remote execution in the registry so that I'm doing, you know, something that I need for security to pass my audit or get cyber insurance or whatever it is. So Bacon's going to help you with all of those things. And it is cross-platform, although I think this crowd was less interested in the cross-platform part. But if you do have some Linux or some Mac, in addition to Windows, we've got coverage for all of that. So I think with that, Dave, just in the interest of time, let's jump into showing off kind of our new capabilities. Basically, you've always been able to schedule patches, but a lot of people work in a framework where they want to be able to pre-approve and manually approve patches, and then have it automatically get installed on a schedule. which in a weird way kind of sounds like how Microsoft, does SCCM or WSUS. But the problem with those tools is they don't really have the granular controls or protect your environment from situations that can be very challenging, like on Patch Tuesday, blowing up a whole bunch of your Windows computers because Microsoft beta tests on all of us. We have ways to be able to get around that. So Dave's going to show off a little bit of what's coming out here in 5.2, which should be out at the end of November. And we're really, really excited about it. And we'll talk about a couple other components there. So Dave, let's get it going.
Yeah, sure thing. So for those of you who've spoken before, you'll notice something a little bit different over here in the left-hand nav bar. Going over to approvals. As John was talking about, we have the ability to set up these patch approvals, and these let you very easily kind of get a baseline level of patching in your environment without having to pick every patch individually over here like we previously did. So through here, you're able to set this up by patch category. So for example, here we set up approvals for critical updates, definition updates, drivers, as you can see, all through here. Now this is super simple to do. All you need to do is go to Actions and Auto Approve, and then it's going to let you select how you would like this to get auto approved. So we can delay it by a couple days, let's say like 14 days after the patch shows up, to give yourself some time to test it, or to kind of hear from the rumor mill that there are any issues you want to watch out for. You also have immediately, so once these come out, immediately deploy those to your machines, or never. I do have a bunch of people who like to do drivers manually. Sometimes it's safe for drivers. They might choose, instead of auto approve, they're going to choose never. That way you're not just randomly like messing people's graphics drivers and stuff like that while they may be in Zoom. Makes perfect sense. So this is kind of step one to being able to do what I call a set and forget kind of method for patching, where you set up your configuration and then you let Bacon do the rest. Now to push this out, it's super simple. What I would do is go over to my standard patching UI, go to Actions, and now I have a new button, Install Approved Patches. What that's going to do for us is allow us to pick from those categories we just saw and decide what groups we want to push those to, what endpoints we want to push those to, or now in Bacon, we also have schedules, which we're going to get into in just a moment. So I can actually pick these predefined schedules that are set up to run on certain frequencies. Let's say like every third Tuesday, or let's say a couple times a week, I can push different things. And this can be all kinds of stuff. So let's actually dive into that. Before I kind of get too far away from here, John, anything you wanted to add to approvals?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the whole idea is that if a category exists on Windows, Mac, Linux, right, because they're defined by each of the manufacturers or publishers of those operating systems, we're going to know about them and you're going to be able to make rules about it, right? So I think you did a good job of overviewing what we can do there. But I think these time delays, you can see some 3 days and 1 days there, but you could do 14 days or 24 days. And, you could set up a schedule for your dev test machines, and then 3 days later it does staging, and then 3 days later after that it does let's say production machines. And so you can have some time to have the success of those patches get digested, and it's a really, really cool capability. So I just think having this level of granular control is what people really need, but they'd like to have the automation. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, good point. So on that, let's actually go over to that scheduling side. So I do a lot of demos for Bacon, as well as running through the trials to give people training on our product. One thing I often hear is more or less the need to do like I said before, a set and forget. We're able to set up patching for those different environments. And so you can stagger these out. You can have your test machines, grab it on Patch Tuesday, maybe production third, and then like your key infrastructure very, very last, just in case you catch anything. I'd put like the owner and the CEO's laptop in that very last one, just to be safe. I don't blow anything up, right? So what we're looking at here is our method of scheduling. As you can see, it's pretty intuitive. If you've ever scheduled an Outlook meeting, you kind of know how this works. You can pick your day, you can pick your time, and we can set up different frequencies to push these jobs out. So if you look over here, this is our scheduling UI. And so you can pick a start and an end date, or this can be timed. So let's say I only want to patch for 5 hours, or have this thing kind of work in a certain maintenance window. That'll line up very nice here. You can go through our date selector, pick your time of choice, pick your day of choice. And then down here for the repeat, this is, I think, what's going to be kind of transformative when it comes to automation and how accessible it is to everyone. This is how we can set up those frequencies. If you've done any level of programming and dealing with times and time zones, all that kind of stuff is really annoying. It's definitely something you can get over, but starting off, it was at least a nightmare for me. So this clears it up a lot without having to kind of worry about all that kind of stuff. So what we're looking at here is the ability to repeat daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. So in my example before, you could set something up to say run every first Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, that kind of thing. It even has like weekdays, weekends, so you can be a little bit vague and still have it run. And then, of course, you can set either occurrences, keep looping this forever, or stop at a certain date. Let's say you're doing a deployment, you only need this to work for a couple weeks. You can actually auto configure that here. So again, you don't have to return the system to clean it up right away to keep control of your environment. So what we're looking at here on the calendar is we set up Windows Workstation patching, which we'll take a look at, as well as something involving patching SQL servers and also some test stuff here as we were kind of labbing around looking at what we were able to build. If I move over to the list side of Scheduler, you can see those same schedules, but now they're in a list format, a little bit easy to wrap your head around and see what they're doing. So if I look at my patch SQL servers one here, what we're able to also do, in addition to this feature, is do what we call job chaining. So you can see my schedule here where I want to patch in a certain day every month, or I guess, excuse me, it's actually weekly. So every Friday, we're going to run this job. And if I go over to the view jobs, we're going to see what I'm actually doing. So through here, you'll see my target is actually going to be a group. So I have a group called patch group B. And then what we're going to do here is something new to Bacon. We're going to run jobs on the machine, but they can actually be configured to take into account what the previous job result was. So in this scenario, let's say I want to patch a SQL server and the recommended method is to disable, or excuse me, stop the SQL service, then do your installations and then restart the service. That's a pretty nice option to have this like pre and post run functionality, especially when you do it based on other conditions. So here I have my script. This is actually pushing from my file repo. If you're familiar with Bacon, again, that'll make sense to you. Or I'm just pushing out a single file as a job as part of this schedule. So this script here is going to stop the Microsoft SQL service on some machine. And then down here, I'm patching for two categories. What I want to do is actually go through here and set this to run on success. What that means is if my first script here to stop the SQL service fails, this won't actually activate. That way I don't cause a mess. Then at the very bottom, I have here to restart that service. So worst case scenario, if I do have any kind of failure with my patching jobs, it'll stop the service and then it'll restart it again. So the server's still in a usable state. Let's say if I'm doing this overnight, so I can come in to not really a big fire, but just an alert saying, hey, something failed, go take a look. Now, you can kind of use this same methodology to do a lot of really advanced stuff. I know John and I were talking about the idea of patching dormant cloud servers. Let's say we turn them off to save some money, but we still want to keep our dev servers patched up. We could have our first job here, just run a quick command to connect to Azure, just be like a pre-built app for authentication and start our VMs. Then we can patch them and then we can stop those VMs again. Again, saving tons of money on just dev resources, but also making sure that even our dormant servers are kept up to date and are not vulnerable. So you can kind of see the flexibility here of being able to take simple things of, I want to push a script, I want to do some patching, and then roll those into an automation configuration that can just literally be as hard as scheduling an Outlook meeting. I think this is pretty good. It opens the door to tons of configurations. And in case of me, I like to write automation and all this kind of stuff, but this saves a ton of time. So I can kind of focus more on the method of automation and all the like nice orchestration and less about like all the syntax errors and weird time requirements, stuff like that we always run into. So that's kind of the brief overview here of these features. John, anything else you wanted to add or any other use cases you were thinking of?
Well, I think, just one of the things to add for people who are not as Bacon familiar is all jobs, whether they come from these schedules or you do them manually, will end up in our job logs. And those job logs will actually show you everything that's happened on every single endpoint. So it's really easy to track down, if a patch can't run because the D partition, which is the recovery partition on your HP laptop, is not big enough and needs to be expanded, you're going to see that error, the actual error that comes in on the machine, so you can go track it down and go fix that, right? That's one of those ones where you can kind of do it with a script, but it's a little scary, so you might want to actually manually handle it. Or wait for, sometimes they actually, these days, Microsoft's been replacing the patch with something that doesn't need as much size. There's a bunch of funny things that kind of go on in the background. But Bacon is going to allow you to do tons of bulk work, which is going to be successful most of the time, and then give you clarity when something doesn't succeed for some reason, corrupt operating system, all kinds of different weird things that can go on. So the main thing that we want to do with Bacon is give people the opportunity to clear as much bulk work off of their day-to-day as they can, and give them clear visibility to how all of that's working. And I think this is just another step in being able to automate away a lot of your time that, I don't want to say it's wasted, but when you can automate things away in a safe way, you should. And that's what Bacon's going to allow you to do. And I think it's sort of similar to that. So if you are using rings in Intune, which I just saw this question come in, will it work side by side? Absolutely. So the thing is that this could completely replace rings in Intune, but also what we find with a lot of Microsoft products, right, is they don't always do things that they say they're going to do. They give terrible logs, so you don't know why they happen. And particularly with Intune, it's a non-real-time app, right? So you set policies, you hope things happen, and then when they don't, you go, why didn't they happen, right? Bacon is a great thing because you know why things happen. But yes, we have people that use it alongside Intune today and say, you know what? I fill in the cracks because Intune is just not good enough. I do a better job with Bacon. And so many of the tasks you do in Intune, you can do better, faster, more easily, and more consistently and reliably than you can with Intune. So I do love Intune. We actually use it for some of the security capabilities. Its integration, into the IED is really, really important. So, if you're using Entra ID and you're trying to do, some geolocation type stuff with Intune, it's great for that. But some of these tasks, it's just way too arduous to do them that way. And I think this will help you. So with that, Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to show?
No, I think that was well said.
All right. Well, with that, like I said, this is going to be out in early release at the end of November, and then out in full release shortly after that. For the advanced schedules and the job approvals, you can already patch and do approval. You can already do patches and scheduling today, but it's not as advanced as what we just showed. We sort of figured this out because in our profiles feature, we could actually do this, but it's tricky. It requires some more advanced configuration. It's not as visual. We wanted to make it as simple and pointy, clicky as possible. So with that, we'll look forward to talking with all of you at some point. Please do fill out the survey so you can win a GoPro, and so that we can learn about what you thought of the webinar. And if this information is helpful, we want to continue to expand on how we do these and do them in a way that everybody really likes. So thank you, everybody. We'll give you the rest of the time here to get to fill out that survey. And really thank you very much for taking the time to check our stuff out. And we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.